is Inside Out.
Inside Out is presented by HTC, here to connect. And Magnolia's at 26th for good old-fashioned Southern comfort food where Mama eats. Along with the McGuire Law Firm. Be kind today and tomorrow.
Spring is here, and aren't you ready for a great addition for April here on Inside Out? Well, let me tell you, we've got Jason's House, lawn care, recycling, fiber art, stroke buddies, and Easter bunnies. And after hearing all of that, where do you think I plan to begin? Well, of course, with Easter bunnies, because two of my favorite things in the whole world happen right here in Georgetown at Sweeties. Ice cream and chocolates. Here it comes. So guess where I am, especially for Easter? I am at Sweeties on Front Street in Georgetown, one of my favorite chocolate shops in all the Grand Strand, not to mention the best ice cream around. I want you to meet Skip Yeager. Now, Skip was on our show quite a few moons ago because he and Cindy had SC Cares, which was the animal sanctuary, and luckily all those wonderful animals got placed other places. But you've had Sweeties for how long?
Since '06, so what, 15 years.
That's a long time.
It is, yes.
And you even have an employee who's been with you almost that length of time.
Almost that long, yes.
Pat.
And she is technically the boss.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to get some shots of Pat here in just a moment making the chocolate.
That's right.
Because you don't have these bunnies shipped in. You actually make them.
Yes. Everything in this case and back on the shelf back there and all the ice cream and the pecan toffee and everything we make here in the store. And that's why it's called Sweeties Homemade, because that's what we do.
People don't realize it, but chocolate is not the same everywhere.
It is not. It is not. Ours is a formulated chocolate for enrobing, which means covering things. So like the pecan toffee or the almond, the coconut almond bars or the caramels, that's all it is enrobing. And it's an easier chocolate to work with. So when you do the volume that we're doing in the size place that we have to work, that's the best chocolate to use. And most people just love it and rave it.
We showed the bunny, but one of your hottest selling Easter items is a chocolate alligator. Go figure.
These are great year round, but we make a lot of them for Christmas for stocking stuffers, and then we sell a bunch of them just to put in Easter baskets. That and then the little chocolate. This is white chocolate with food coloring, yeah. And then this is a 3D Easter bunny. So it's made in 4 pieces, and then it is...
It's heavy, so he's solid.
It is. It is solid chocolate. It's made in 4 pieces that we then use melted chocolate to put it together.
Do you have a lot of people who order online from all over the country?
Oh, yes, and it's getting more and more, especially during Christmas. We have a customer in Greenville that orders at least once a month, and then they send them to their relatives all over the country. And we love it, yeah.
I think I'm going to order once a week. That is delicious.
Yeah, it's a creamy praline, unlike some of the other ones you get.
Too sugary in other places.
It's sugary and grainy, yes. And we put extra butter and cream in it.
Oh, that is just luscious. So one of my favorite candies is a Heath bar, and you told me that this is very close to a Heath bar.
It is. And I got it from a lady that supposedly her father sold his recipe to Heath, but then they converted it to extend the shelf life, but we continue to use butter and sugar and almonds. That's all it is.
And it's softer than a Heath bar.
It is.
Very good.
And cooking here in the South varies. Sometimes it's nice and soft like this, and other times it's a little harder. But it is that's a big seller. We got people that walk in the door and buy everything we got.
You told me that you started this at Christmas, and it was such a big seller that now you do it all year long.
Yes, that's our fruit and nut bark. It is a layer of milk chocolate. And
taste it.
Yeah, taste it. Go ahead. And then it has dried cranberries, dried cherries, and pecans in it.
Oh,
White chocolate, yes.
that is wonderful.
It is. It's over the top.
Over the top is really good.
Yep.
I like the combination of the white and dark.
Yeah, it is. And then with the fruit in there, it's just, you can't get any better. Oh, it has blueberries, dried blueberries.
So has there been anything that has surprised you in this candy business over the years? I mean, did you think you were going to sell a lot more fudge than you do? Or is there anything really unique that's happened that's kind of surprised you?
Oh, yeah, there are several things, some more than others. Sugar-free. When we have a small case dedicated to sugar-free. And we get some locals that will come in and buy 2 or 3 pounds at a time.
This is sugar-free. It's great.
I know it. And people rave about it. But that, and then the difference between, in our situation, the difference between our dark and our milk chocolate is very subtle. The dark chocolate is a little more flavor intense, but it doesn't have that bite that, say, a high 78% cocoa is. Ours runs between 50 and 60%.
Are you going to be able to meet the demand for Easter with all the chocolate bunnies?
Yeah, we still got plenty of chocolate left.
And you make your own caramel, so
We
it's
do.
not just you make your own chocolate.
Yeah, I found it much easier to, now it's sort of labor intensive, but we make our own caramel. I make 24 pounds in a batch.
Whew.
It's a lot of butter, a lot of sugar, and a lot of cream. And then from that, we make our own. We appropriately named homemade caramels. And this is a version with sea salt, regular sea salt, and this is a version with smoked sea salt. And we use Bull's Bay sea salt, which is
local.
just down the street. Yes. And we make our own. We make these turtles. Now, if you pick that up, I jokingly call that
Heavy.
a meal.
Yes,
And
it's
then
a heavy turtle.
It is. It's a lot. And then this is.
I can't even break it.
No, you're not going to cut it easily. And then this is the caramel.
Look at that.
This is the bite. So if that's too much, you can get the bite. Yeah.
Now, another thing that I love about Sweeties is that you're very conscious of the environment. And I think it's really unique what you do here with plastic.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we're on the waterfront. Okay, so we're sensitive to being close to the water. This is these are made in America. It's made out of cornstarch, and it's compostable. So this is our milkshake glass. We use a lot of paper products, so that's it will compost back into the environment.
In our last minute, let's brag about the ice cream.
Oh,
My
okay.
favorite is the coffee with the chocolate chips in it.
Cappuccino chocolate chip. Yes. And that's the same chocolate that we use to make this stuff. And that's a really popular one. I joke that they're going to run me out of town if I don't keep it stocked. Our number one seller, though, is, getting back to caramel, sea salt caramel. So we use the same caramel. We put in all the candy. We put it into the ice cream with salt, and that keeps it from solidifying too much under the freezing temperatures.
Sweeties is such a wonderful place to visit, and obviously people need to come here and start stocking up for Easter.
Or anytime.
I mean, absolutely. And so in wrapping up, your hours.
Our hours, we're here 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 to 5, and then Sundays from noon to 5. And then during the summer, we may be open till 8, like on Fridays and Saturdays. Just check either call or check the website, or check the Google.
I have been eating the whole time, so pick a
That's
piece
good.
and eat one. I want to see you eat one.
You want to see me eat one?
Yes.
All right. The peanut butter ball, man, I'm really leaning toward that. Some people call them Buckeyes.
Oh, that's a Buckeye.
Yeah, a Buckeye. You know Buckeyes?
Yeah.
Okay.
You gonna eat it? No.
No.
I'm gonna
I don't
eat
know
a
if you've
Buckeye.
ever had, this is a candied orange slice. It's from Italy.
Oh.
And then we dip it in chocolate. And then we also have, pardon my bare hands. And then we also have apricots. So this is a juicy, soft apricot, not one of those chewy things you get.
Go ahead, take a bite.
No,
We got to
I'm
wrap
gonna-
it up. I'm not going to leave until you have eaten a piece of chocolate because I'm going to eat this Buckeye.
Very good.
Oh my
a good
goodness.
Good intense orange flavor and dark chocolate.
And I got to save this for Chuck on the camera because
We
he
have more, it's
loves
fine.
peanut butter.
You don't have to
Thank
save
you
it.
and happy Easter. Don't forget to hide the Easter eggs.
Oh yeah, we have.
And of course, remember the most important part of Easter Sunday. It isn't about candy.
Chocolate Easter eggs.
Thank you
That's
so
right.
much. Skip, thank you so much for
Thank
this
you.
great interview. Sweeties, Front Street in Georgetown. Delicious.
Up next, an amazing award-winning fiber artist from Conway.
From the Grand Strand to the farmland, from Main Street to the marshes, HTC is here to connect you to what matters most in your life. We're here to bring people together, here to play, and here to empower our communities with the largest fiber optic network in the area. Go with HTC. We are here to connect you to your world.
We're in Conway today with Judy Lyons. She is a fabric artist and she has two businesses. You'll see the names there on the screen, but I have to tell you, I am amazed at what she has created with fabric. But how did you get started?
I went to Rochester Institute of Technology for college in the School for American Craftsmen, and I was a textile major where I learned to weave and spin and dye and anything fabric related.
I'm sure you've been doing this as a hobby for a long time, but you had a career in between.
Yes, I was an activities coordinator at a retirement community in Maryland, and I taught some creative arts classes there too, but I didn't really get into it until after I retired.
Well, what you have done is simply amazing. I'm looking at these pieces, and I said to Judy, how did you make them? Wait till you hear this. Like this piece.
That one I used shaving cream, and we took dyes and put it in shaving cream and drew designs to make it look marbleized. And then you took the piece of fabric and dipped it into it and pulled it back up, and that's what you get.
And then these are done with ice cubes. I mean, look at this. I love this one.
Yep, those are fabric or ice dyed. And what we did for that is you soak the fabric in soda ash first. It's 100% cotton. And you twist it and manipulate it and put it into like a little sieve or a cage. Then you put the ice on top of it, and then you sprinkle the dye powder over that. And once the dye powder mixes with the ice and the ice starts melting, you let it sit for 24 hours. And then you pick it up and you look at it, and it's like Christmas because you never know what you're going to get.
Just all these pieces are just beautiful. This looks like something that's been fossilized.
That one was just a regular hand-dyed solid color, and then I took a gel plate and printed that and used a fern that I dried from my garden as a resist. So I put the paint down first, and I put the fern over it, and then I put the fabric down on top of it and rubbed it and pulled it back, and that's what you get.
And right here, that's a gel press, huh?
Yes, gel plate.
Gel plate. You know, people are probably saying, but then what do you do with the fabric? Let's talk about that. Because all around your home, on the walls, you have got some magnificent pieces.
Oh, thank you. Yes, the one right behind me was the first one I did using the gel plate, trying to get different textures on top of just hand-dyed fabric. So I would put different colors on and different ways of making textures on with using just things like bubble wrap and netting you get from like your oranges and anything you can find around the house that'll make a mark, basically, that doesn't hurt the gel plate. And just adding those different colors together and then pulling them together and trying to make like a collage.
But Judy, my favorite piece in your whole home is this one over here in the corner. This is magnificent. Please tell us how it was done.
Well, I call her Where Reality Destroys Fantasy. It's basically a tree trunk shaped like Mother Earth, and then it has little woodland nymphs or woodland fairies down below. So I made her out of a torso, a little plastic molded torso that you would put t-shirts on. And then I added a skirt around it with the fabric that had been dyed. I had dyed everything. Then I dyed t-shirts and put them in strips and pulled the strips to make it look like roping. And then I started putting them all together to make more like a bark look to it. And I gel printed actually the top parts where the tree circles are.
Yeah.
And that's all gel printed on fabric that I did using a card, just a piece of cardboard that I cut with pinking shears, and then sort of just went around to make a circle, concentric circles. And yeah, I kind of like her.
Oh, she's magnificent. But so is the mermaid in your garage.
Oh yes, yes. That's where fantasy meets reality. It was like imagining a mermaid swimming out in the ocean and hitting that garbage island that's floating around. And she got sort of stuck, and there's pieces of fishing line wrapped around her and like algae, and she gets caught up in a fishing net, and then there's sort of bottles and cans along with her underneath. So it's kind of destroyed the fantasy by having the reality. And that'll be in Art Fields.
Yes, and that's this month. You're honored to be in Arts Fields. They
Yes.
don't pick just anyone.
Yes.
And you're also involved in many local arts organizations and shows coming up in April as well.
Yeah, I belong to the Seacoast Artist Gallery and the Waccamaw Arts and Crafts Guild. And both of them are having shows, so I'm hoping you get some of my pieces in that too.
Oh, you should be exhibiting everywhere. Have you done anything at the Art Museum yet?
The show for Waccamaw will be at the Art Museum.
Good, good. I want everyone to get out and look at Judy's pieces. Now, tell me a little bit more about your travels, because you've been all over the place teaching classes.
I'm moving into another sector of all this creative stuff, doing gel plate printing. And I've been doing it on fabric as well as on paper, and I'm doing a creative arts retreat I put together. It'll be 3 full days of classes where they learn to do different things with what they make. Because usually you make things, it's like, well, what do I do with it now? And I'm giving them ideas of what to do with it.
So Judy, tell me about the triptych over the couch.
That one is basically my hand-dyed fabrics again that have been gel printed. And I just wanted to make something with different strata and just look like, it's called coastlines. And it's just a picture with 3 different scenes, and actually you can rearrange them to make it look differently, which I didn't realize until I put it up, and somebody said, well, shouldn't you put that one over here? And it's like, oh, okay, and I like that even better. So it works sometimes that way.
What made you decide to take this piece of driftwood? This is pretty creative.
Oh, that one I did flowers. We had a challenge, and we have a group of women that meet sometimes to give each other challenges to do to try to get the juices flowing a little bit. And this one was a flower, just a fantasy flower. So it's like a combination of a lily and something with little fantasy little stamens coming up the center of it. But it's all gel printed as well, and it has little pieces of wire in it, so it makes it a little more 3-dimensional.
But isn't this the way you got started? Was this the first kind of thing you did, quilting?
Yes. When I started my hand-dyed business, I was doing rainbow dyeing, which is like 12 different colors. And each color is a fat quarter, which is 18 by 22 inches. It's like a yard of material cut this way and this way. And that's quilters call them fat quarters. So each color is a fat quarter. So that's all you need is a fat quarter of each color to make this quilt. And it's very simple. I used to teach Quilt in a Day through Eleanor Burns' teaching that I went to her place and learned from her, basically. And I was teaching classes for quilting. And this was one of the trip around the world. And this was, I put up in a lot of things. And I get a lot of people going, oh, they always want to make one of these. So.
Well, this is the way it all began.
Yes.
And you're getting ready to go to Batesburg to do a 3-day seminar.
Yep.
And you were telling me that everything on that board would be something that people would do in 3 days.
Yep.
Explain.
That's the Creative Arts Retreat, and it'll be in June from the 2nd to the 6th. And it's at Gunter Bible Camp and Conference Center. We're going to be coming in on Thursday, so we'll have all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to do classes. And I'll teach them how to do the printing with the gel plate and all these papers, and then they'll figure out, like, well, once they start making them, you can't stop. It's one of these things. It's like, ooh, let's do this
Obsessive.
color. Yes. So once you end up with all these papers, then I show them what to do with them. We can make cards. They have cards. You can make Christmas cards. You can make birthday cards, any kind of card. And then I have jewelry. We can do gift tags. We're going to teach them how to do some little books and pamphlets. So you can do a little journaling, like travel journals. Then I also make these little tokens. I call them tokens of appreciation. So it would just have a little design on one side, just from little pieces of your gel plate printing pages. And then you put on the back and it says like, smile, you're awesome. So you could give them to your waitresses, you know, after a meal. Or if somebody else was nice to you in the store when you bought something, just give it to them. So, just
or to your husband because he did something very special.
Yes.
You know, and Jim here is very supportive of you. I can tell he's your head cheerleader.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I try to explain things to him and he tries to explain it to his friends, and it's like, I don't know, but it's kind of neat, you know.
He can't explain it, but he loves it.
Right.
So in wrapping it up, Judy, there's no doubt that you're interested in doing more of these 3-day seminars, even locally, or if there's a church group, women's group, civic group, men too love to do this. All you have to do is reach out to Judy at that information you see right there. She would love to hear from you, and perhaps do some more seminars locally.
Oh yeah, anytime. I've got lots of ideas. I've got 14 different themes going for some of these retreats. So, and if they have a suggestion, I can usually figure out what to do and how to do it. So
maybe you should have retired or even earlier.
That's true.
Judy Lyons, thanks for being with us here
Thank you.
on Inside Out. Clemson Extension Service dishes out lawn care advice for the season right after this break.
From Merle's Inlet to Marion, from the golf courses to the area's gorgeous beaches, HTC is here to connect you with the largest fiber optic network in the area. We are here to help our communities, here to help you benefit as a member of our local cooperative, and here to empower the moments that are important in your life. We're HTC, and we're here to connect you to your world.
Our Inside Out cameras captured the highlights of the inaugural Kite Festival at Huntington Beach State Park, which is scheduled for mid-March each and every year. It was definitely a high for all who attended.
This segment of Inside Out is brought to you by Magnolia's at 26th for good old-fashioned Southern comfort food, where Mama eats.
We're here at the beautiful Conway Marina on a beautiful day, and we're going to talk about a topic that should interest most of us. It's about lawn care. Brad Fowler joins us, and he is, well, I guess new with Clemson, but not new to the community because you grew up where?
In Green Sea.
So isn't that exciting that you were able to stay here and pursue your career?
It is. It's actually been a dream of mine to hold this position since I got out of college, and being able to do it in my community, it makes it even better.
And before this, you actually worked for Brook Green too.
I did work for Brook Green for about 7 years, and then managed a landscape company for about 4 years.
Well, we welcome you to our show, and I'm anxious to talk about lawn care because let's face it, by now, everyone's into it. They've got their water turned on.
Yes, definitely, definitely. With the warmer temperatures coming, people are ready to get out in their yards and get going for sure.
Most people know this, but when is the best time to water?
It's really not, there's really not a best time to water. It's whenever your plants need it. You really need to be out in the garden, out in your lawn, checking it. You know, if things are looking dry, then water, but there's really no best time. It's just about when your plants are ready for it.
But wouldn't you say that you wouldn't necessarily want to water in the hot time in the middle of the day, especially like in July and August, morning or evening better?
You definitely want to start in the morning. I suggest early in the morning, maybe 4 a.m. That way some of that water can start drying up by the time the hot sun comes around. You definitely don't want to water overnight because that water will just sit on your plants, on your lawn, and that can just create more disease issues.
Brad, do you find that people mow improperly as well?
Definitely. See a lot of improper mowing, whether that be blades aren't sharp enough and they're just tearing the grass, or equipment's not cleaned properly, or they're mowing too low. A lot of folks mow too low. We like to go by the rule of a third. Don't ever take more than a third of the blade off at one time.
I know you guys too have good advice for what to do with the scraps. You don't always just dump them in the landfill.
No, you can use that for some of the scraps for compost. For the most part, it's okay to just leave your clippings on the lawn as long as you're not cutting too much. So it's normally okay to just leave your clippings on the lawn, but you can always gather them up and use them in compost as well.
So many people have just moved here and they don't understand the grasses that we have here versus other parts of the country.
Definitely, definitely. So I get a lot of questions about why can't I grow my fescue? Why can't I grow my bluegrass? And it honestly just gets too hot here. You know, we're left with pretty much 4 main grasses. We have St. Augustine, Bermuda, zoysia, and centipede. Each of them has their benefits. Centipede is more of what we call a lazy man's grass. It doesn't take near as much fertilizer and work. If you've got more shade, then you may be forced to go with something like St. Augustine because it's a lot more shade tolerant. Zoysia can take some shade and full sun. A lot of folks are using zoysia nowadays because it's a really nice thick grass. Bermuda is always wonderful, but it does take some more work, and it likes more of a full sun situation.
There's a lot of people who have had problems with different critters, moles and things like that. What are some of the things we should look for in our grasses?
So I definitely recommend to people, when it comes to grass, if you're wanting to have a nice thick lawn, you need to keep an eye on it. You need to look for stuff like brown patches. Once again, like those mole tunnels that you'll see. Keep an eye out for insect damage. If something is all of a sudden becoming brown, it may be a good idea to give me a call or contact your landscaper and have them come look at it. The earlier you can catch turf issues, it's going to be a lot easier to fix those issues in the long run.
What about fertilizer? I mean, we've all gone out and seen people making green grass at a time of year we shouldn't really have green grass. But what about the types of things we put on our lawn to maintain the greenness?
So first, when we're talking about fertilizer, I would highly suggest getting a soil test done. You know, we can do that, send it off to Clemson. They'll get back with the results. They'll let us know what nutrients are in the soil and what we need to do to improve it, whether that be pH or nutrient levels. A lot of folks also will start fertilizing a little too early, and what that does is that just promotes growth on top and not root growth. So we want to wait until probably around May, once that grass is really coming out of dormancy and growing, before we start doing a whole lot of fertilizing. And once again, a lot of folks will fertilize too much because they want that green color, but a grass like centipede, it's a yellow grass, and over fertilizing it with a bunch of nitrogen to try to make it green is just going to kill it in a couple years.
I heard too that you're in charge of the Master Gardener program, and I guess anyone who worked for Brook Green should be in charge of the Master Gardener program.
Yes, I am for Horry and Georgetown counties. I am the coordinator for the Master Gardener program. We have one going on right now. It's being held statewide. We're doing a hybrid format where folks are coming into their local offices, but we're watching the presentations live via Zoom from across the state, different coordinators giving presentations. It's a pretty intensive program. It's about 16 weeks long, and crams pretty much Horticulture 101 into those 16 weeks, but I also think it's a very rewarding program, and we're just wanting to educate willing volunteers so then they can go out and educate others.
And what does a program like that cost somebody to take?
It's $300, and that includes their Master Gardener training manual.
Before we let you go, Brad, let's talk about gardening, because even though that's not necessarily your forte or specialty, people are crazy to start a garden without a soil sample.
Definitely get a soil sample. There are a lot of things to think about when it comes to starting a garden. You know, your location, your access to water, and like you said, definitely get that soil sample so you can make sure the nutrients and pH are right before you start a garden. With the way prices of groceries are, it's something to definitely think about to grow some of your own food.
So how does someone get the soil sample to you, and how can Clemson help us?
So if they'll just bring their dirt in to us at the office, we'll bag it up, fill out the forms, and send it off to Clemson. It's $6 for a sample, and like I said, it can tell you a whole lot of information on what's going on in your soil.
A lot of good community partners. Thank you so much, and Brad, welcome to this new position. If people have any questions, they can call you at this number, right?
Yes, that is correct, and thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, and I'm just glad to be working for my community.
Brad Fowler, born and raised in Green Sea, and now working for Clemson, a dream come true. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Coming up is a nonprofit that will make you smile, Jason's House. Proper serving, proper distancing. We're into safety at Magnolia's. Our staff now plates your food with all your favorite choices from the buffet, salad bar, and dessert bar, and it's still all you can eat. There's also breakfast, evening, and an expanded Sunday buffet. Mama says she can't cook it that cheap. Plus, the kids will love the yummy ice cream machine. Named Small Business of the Year by the Chamber of Commerce, Magnolia's. It's where Mama eats.
This segment of HTC Inside Out is presented by the McGuire Law Firm. Be kind today and tomorrow.
Welcome to Surfside United Methodist Church. Our topic is Jason's House, an organization, a wonderful nonprofit that's been around since 1984. Meet Linda Ritchey. She's been involved for a number of years, and she's passionate about Jason's House.
Yes.
And why not? It's such a feel-good nonprofit.
You know, it does. It reaches deep into my heart and everyone's heart that volunteers. I mean, this little boy just means so much to this community and to this church.
Tell us about Jason and how it all began.
Okay. Jason was a 6-year-old little boy that had terminal brain cancer. And he passed away at the age of 6. And his parents, his mom just told me this last week, his mom and dad were driving up the coast, and his dad said, I have a visionary. What if other children with cancer could come to the beach for a week of fun, vacation, everything free? And they came back to the church. They talked with the pastor at that time, and Jason's House Mission was born.
It's amazing to me that it is still continuing. And I must tell you that back in 1985, I interviewed this family, and they truly wanted other children to experience the joy that Jason experienced living here.
They absolutely do. When I spoke to her last week, she was almost in tears because of the pandemic. We haven't been able to have Jason's House for 2 years. And now everybody is so gung-ho and excited about us doing it again. And, you know, it gives us so much energy to know that we're going to bring these children that have been in hospitals most of their young lives in 4 states to Myrtle Beach for a free week.
And it's amazing that your committees that, of course, come from this church, but also these folks get other friends involved. And so it's an entire community effort.
It's an entire community effort. And not only do a lot of our own church volunteers help out. We have different clubs all up and down the coast from, in Myrtle Beach area that participate, that volunteer, that come spend time with the children, when they check in on Saturdays and Sundays. We have a lot of volunteers, not only in this church, but all over the community, because you know what? It takes a village. We can't do this on our own. We have to have the community's help to make these children's dreams come true. So many, and I have to tell you, so many of these children, they leave the hospital, they come to Myrtle Beach. We have had some that don't make it. We have had some children, when they leave Myrtle Beach, that pass away soon after. And I do have to tell you this, though. We've been talking with the social workers in 12 hospitals, 12 children's hospitals. And one social worker told me 2 weeks ago, she said, Linda, we are so glad you're having Jason's House again this year. She said, do you know that some of the children have been asking, can they come to the beach?
Of course, who wouldn't want to come? Not to mention, their siblings get to come, and it's an entire family gathering.
Right, because it's about the children, but the stress and the financial pressure that the family goes through. When they come to the beach for a week, they don't have to pay for anything. The community does this for them.
So with that in mind, what are you recruiting right now through this effort?
Right now, we are reaching out to the hotels. We've had some that have committed, but we need hotel accommodations. It can be for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, from June through August. We need food venues to help us with the food for the families for a week. When I'm talking about food, Diane, I'm talking about restaurant vouchers, coupons, and the same with entertainment. Coupons, vouchers, just anything.
Movies, putt-putt, the works.
Oh, they love putt-putt. The kids love putt-putt. Anything that children would love, because most of them have not done these things before, and this is a dream come true for them. And that's what we really need. We need more volunteers, but we need hotel accommodations and food and entertainment.
Does this happen just during the summer, Linda, or will it go on into the fall?
Just during the summer, because these children, they don't attend school, but most of them do have school in the hospitals through Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. So they attend school while they're in the hospitals. But it's just during the summer.
So I know that you've, in the past, brought 50 to 60 families to town. Is that pretty much your goal this year?
That's always a goal, but we also are realistic that because of the pandemic, there have been a lot of changes in the communities. Now, we've got 50 to 60 children ready to come with their families, but it just all depends on the donations that we get from hotels, restaurants, and entertainment. And as soon as we get the accommodations, we'll be in touch with the social workers, and the kids are coming.
What about monetary contributions? Because that would all be tax deductible.
Absolutely, and we take monetary contributions. Just make sure that it has Jason's House on the check, so that it will go to Jason's House, to the kids.
And the checks could be sent to the Surfside United Methodist Church.
Yes, they can, and just put attention Jason's House.
This
Yes.
sounds wonderful. I know that it's going to be a great summer, and I believe that people are going to reach out to you, knowing that this organization's been going on since 1984.
38 years is where we are. It gives me goosebumps. 38 years of these children coming to the beach and their families.
Jason's House, Surfside United Methodist Church, doing something beautiful for so many families. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you so much, Diane. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Next on Inside Out, a national stroke support group that started right here at home.
When you're seriously injured, where should you turn? Turn to a law firm that has deep roots fighting for members of our community.
McGuire Law Firm is here. The same familiar faces you see on TV or around town are actually the same faces you'll see when you walk into our office.
We're here. We're here.
And we're here. And when the time comes, we'll fight for you every step of the way.
McGuire Law Firm, in your community, fighting for you.
We're in Murrells Inlet with Ralph Preston, who started an organization called Stroke Buddies. Started out kind of local, but it's now pretty much international. And it's really a great success story. It was 14 years ago this month that Ralph had a stroke, and doctors looked at him and said, "You'll probably never get out of the wheelchair." And what did you say, Ralph?
I said, "You don't know me." But that was basically my reaction. And I followed up with it. I got out of the wheelchair when I got released from the rehab hospital. About 4 or 5 days later, I said, the longer I sit in this wheelchair, the more I worry about being stuck in it. And my wife said, "Well, we can put it in the laundry room and get it out if you need it." And I said, "Well, I can't make it across the room. I can't walk without holding on to something." And she said, "Well, we'll help you." So we actually folded it up, put it in the laundry room. I never used it again. We took it on 2 trips, but didn't use it. And at the end of the month, we returned it. And although my walking wasn't great, I continued to work on it. So part of the whole deal is if you're going to make a statement like, "Oh yeah, watch this," then you better follow it up with some action, and I did.
But 14 years ago, you've made such an incredible transition, almost to the extent that you've kind of done the impossible. I mean, you've actually walked marathons.
Well, I've walked the American Heart Stroke Association walk. I was the only stroke survivor. They give you a white hat. They give heart attack survivors red hats. So, yeah, and everything I do, I'm trying to bring awareness to stroke. I mean, it's good for me to walk the 3 miles, but part of the deal was walking, with a white hat on. Not that it's about me, but I'm constantly doing that kind of thing to, promote stroke awareness. And somebody who's had a stroke sees me walking in that white hat, and it gives them some hope.
So other than your determination and your rehab, what else do you think really drove you to the point that you are today?
My mother. Because my mother had a big heart, and she gave me my big heart. And I've always helped people. I've always done good with a video camera. I started a video production company in 1983, and so I've always tried to, of course I had to make a living, but beyond that I always tried to use my camera to do some good.
Folks can actually go to your YouTube channel and see some amazing videos of stroke survivors. I mean, you're really motivating people with these videos. It kind of seems that everything's falling into place for you at a time when a lot of people our age are retiring. You're just really getting started, Ralph.
Well, I get up every morning and push on the elephant. I used to say pushing the rock uphill. So, I'm trying to make some of it happen. And I've got a number of things on my YouTube channel. I try and show other stroke survivors interviews, talk to them about their recovery, provide things that are motivational to people. I've got about 100 exercise videos. I basically demonstrate a number of fairly simple techniques. I explain how to do the exercise and the purpose of the exercise and how it fits into helping your ankle or your knee or some body part, helping you walk better. So I put it in context, and then we do Zoom meetings where we're trying to bring science and neuroscience. We get physical therapists, occupational therapists, neuroscientists to come on, and we talk about different aspects of recovery, and we try and give people the science behind recovery, like how the brain forms blueprints, how you train the brain. If you understand more about how the brain works, then you can focus your exercises and your recovery in a way that maximizes something called neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to always learn and change. So I've learned to do things 10 or 12 years out just to demonstrate that you can always learn. Because this is also, when you're sitting there in that wheelchair, you go, what if I don't get better? Or what if I stop getting better? So, we try and provide the answer, which is you can always get better if you put the effort in. Can you go back to the way you were before the stroke? Probably not. But anytime, I'm a big believer in anybody who puts in effort into their recovery will get better than they are.
But you're working with some really big-time organizations.
Yeah, so I've been, trying to take it. I formed a Facebook group that crossed 7,000 people last week. And I've just tried to reach out to any number of people and organizations to work with them. And so I've done work with MUSC, Stroke Recovery Research Center. I did a series of 5 hours on stroke recovery, the basics, starting with all the questions that I had to find the answers to because nobody gave them to me. With a hospital system in Florida, I'm working with another hospital system in Texas. We're trying to bring a stroke ambassador program, make it go nationally to hospitals. This would be the idea of, there are a lot of pay-it-forward stroke survivors, and what we want to do is send them into the hospitals to talk to stroke survivors about the whole mental aspect and to provide some hope. When somebody walks in your hospital room and you can't get out of bed and they tell you, I had a stroke, I was laying there 2 years ago like you are, that provides a lot of hope. So I work with a company called MedRhythms, and we're trying to build a big community to change things in stroke recovery. So anybody that reaches out to me, I just try and partner with them. And just trying to get this done.
And finally, it's quite amazing that you've got people even in Africa who are communicating with you on a regular basis who have had strokes. So you're really reaching out to the world through Stroke Buddies right here from Murrells Inlet.
Once people find out that you know a little bit about what you're talking about and that you're willing to help them, your phone lights up.
Ralph, did you ever think something bad like this could happen to you, but you would turn it into something good?
I don't feel like, I'm driven, but I don't feel like I was particularly left here for this mission. But I've always liked to help people, and when you help people, you feel good too. It is in giving that we receive. And there's some, I believe that the universe returns back to you what you put out. So I'm trying to help people and put out good things, and so far good things are happening.
Beautifully said, Ralph. Thank you so very much. It's Stroke Buddies, and the information's right there. If you know of someone who's had a stroke, certainly put them in touch with Ralph Preston right here in Murrells Inlet. So just how well are we doing with our recycling efforts? The Horry County Solid Waste Authority will fill us in next.
HTC is here to connect you to the things that matter most in your life. With the area's largest fiber optic network, HTC is here with the fastest speeds to help power your day. Do a little multitasking. Keep the peace. All to help your day run smoother than ever before. See how HTC is here to connect you to your world. And take advantage of these great offers today.
April 22nd is Earth Day, and our Horry County Solid Waste Authority has all sorts of activities designed around Earth Day, and you can find them on their website. But right now I want you to meet a man who's an environmentalist and a conservationist and just a great all-around guy. This is Bo Ives, who happens to be the chairperson again of the Horry County Solid Waste Authority Board, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be asked to talk to your audience, because we love the opportunity to talk about the things we've achieved at the Horry County Solid Waste Authority.
I want you to feel free to brag, and for instance, I want to start with the pandemic. You guys did a great job during the pandemic, but I understand so did the population.
Everyone contributed. You wouldn't believe our numbers actually increased for recycling over the period. We lost a lot of traffic that came in from the commercial side, but people were at home, and I think a lot of them cleaned out their attics and their garages because
they had nothing else to do.
We had so much come to our convenience centers that they were taking advantage of the time to clean up some areas, and we had a lot of things that were brought in to recycle and to sell. Because we have a store that we have accumulated items for people to rummage through that still have a life to them.
We've certainly done a TV interview on the store, but you've added a little Anita's Attic. Tell everybody about it.
In 2011, we opened the store. The community said, "Why don't you?" And Anita Moran said, "I know a place that's done this, and I'm going to do some investigation for you and come back with some recommendations." And she did. And this past year, we expanded 5,000 square feet, and we named it after her. But it's a convenient place for you to pull up behind the store and drop off your goods. But it's a great place to find bargains.
Treasures.
Yes.
And so when people are cleaning out, spring cleaning, you can drop things off. The Horry County Council on Aging benefits in a tremendous way from what you're doing.
Yes. Meals on Wheels are one of the programs that they support through the donations of the gifts made. And they're considered gifts when people make contributions for the things they're picking up.
What's new, Bo, at the recycling centers? Because they're all really beautiful, and I'm amazed on how clean they're kept.
We try to make a workspace that's hospitable to our workers. You can imagine what it might be like working in a space that's not exactly air conditioned. It's open to the elements on the sides, it's roofed. But we try to have air moving, and we try to have the area as clean as possible to make our workers feel like we want them to be there, we want them to return. But we have some fantastic workers. One thing that we've done over the past several years, in 2020, we modernized our materials recycling facility. And in doing that, we also added optical sorters, which have made us so much more efficient in picking out those goods that have a market life that we could take advantage of.
What can we as the public do to help you all? I mean, are we rinsing out our containers?
We're surprised a lot of people leave the caps on the milk jugs, for instance. The caps get lost because our screens won't catch all the lids if they aren't screwed on. So just screw them back on. And that helps us because they're actually more valuable than the jug. The plastic in them is different than what's in the jug, and that's usually has, markets fluctuate, it usually has a better market price. But we've been so fortunate. The market has been very terrific on the pricing of recyclable goods.
What about the landfill in general? Tell me what is new and what's down the road.
We just finished modernizing our gas collection system. We create two things, leachate, which is the garbage juice, and we create methane gas. And the methane needs to be either burnt off or it needs to be somehow vented and used. We have a pact with Santee Cooper where we power 700 homes. And so we're making power generation. We just expanded our gas field by 2/3. It does two things. It removes some of the odor, which pleases the people who live nearby, but also treating that gas gets it out of the atmosphere because methane is one of the things that is making us heat up. So it's a good thing to do environmentally, and it's a great thing to do health-wise. And we've also expanded the base of where our waste goes, and we have a permit into DHEC to expand a third piggyback, which means we're building higher. And building higher is a good thing because we're not trying to hide it underground. Also, when it goes up high, it makes it easier to process the leachate, which goes to, we have a pact with Grand Strand Sewer and Water to process the leachate and the methane. So those are two things that you want to, that has to be processed even after we're closed, because all of the material that's in the landfill and buried will continue to disintegrate at a slower rate, but they'll continue to disintegrate and produce leachate and methane.
Sounds like your partnerships are expanding too.
Well, we have wonderful partners who work with us, and we're just very happy to have them because they work with us.
This is big business. How many employees now at the Horry County Solid Waste Authority?
125. And we see 300 trucks a day just coming into the solid waste side, which is what we're collecting from the curbside. But we have a materials recycling facility that's staffed, and we have 24 convenience centers that are staffed. But 125 employees, and throughout COVID, they've taken care of themselves so that we have very little occurrence of people actually contracting COVID.
Hallelujah
It's been amazing.
for that.
We didn't lose a single day.
How about tours? You used to give tours.
Yes, we did halt it during COVID, but now we've started to get back up again. We can handle groups of 15, or you can call and find out if there's a space available for a group that hasn't quite filled the bus, and we conduct it on demand. So call us. There's no better way to find out the depth of the problem till you see it firsthand. You just would not believe the immensity of what we collect daily. And you might just revise how much you use, that you'll reuse it, and that you'll recycle rather than throw it in your bin for burying in our landfill.
Other than this month being Earth Day month, we
Yes.
also, of course, will all be planting our herbs or flowers or gardens. And so you guys got the best compost around.
We do. We have partnerships with Coastal Carolina University and the school system and collect their food waste, and have just expanded our area by 40% to collect. And within 120 days, it's made into the most wonderful compost that you can use in your garden. So you can come and get that.
Bring your buckets.
Bring your buckets, anything you can put it in. We weigh as you come in, weigh as you go out, but the rates are very reasonable.
One more thing, and is it true that it's the best place to photograph birds?
It really is.
The landfill.
It really is. We have the greatest assemblage of seagulls anywhere in this hemisphere, according to the biologists at Coastal Carolina University. And that's something that's really amazing. The eagles are back. We have impressive numbers of eagles. We have all kinds of wildlife that surrounds the facility. Diane, there's one more thing I'd like to say. I want to thank our residents, because last year we diverted 6 months of material that would have gone to landfill by recycling, finding another use for it, or making compost out of it. The diversion programs are working thanks to our residents.
And I just want to say 30 years ago, I was very blessed by Esther to be invited to be the Solid Waste Authority spokesperson for the recycling program. I was the Reduce, Reuse, Recycle lady. People still stop me and call me the garbage lady, but I don't care, because I was proud to be a part of something so incredible for Horry County.
It's big business.
I'm glad we're back together again.
Thank
you,
you.
Bo.
It's
Thank
been
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Esther Murphy, for setting this up for us.
Yes.
Horry County Solid Waste Authority.
It's been wonderful. Thank you so much for having us.
The Surfside Pier doesn't look like much now, but come fall, it's going to be simply amazing. Next month here on our show, we're going to be featuring a community garden, several artists, the Boys and Girls Club of Myrtle Beach, and you'll even meet up with a student from Green Sea High School who has made the National High School Chorus. Bravo! We'll see you next month. Happy Easter!
Inside Out is presented by HTC, here to connect. And Magnolia's at 26th for good old-fashioned Southern comfort food where Mama eats. Along with the McGuire Law Firm. Be kind today and tomorrow.